Hello and welcome to Sorted Food.
Today it's chef versus normals in another grocery shop challenge.
In front of the boys, we have a shopping bag full of a bunch of fresh ingredients. And what we want our two normal home cooks, Jamie and Barry, to do is conjure up 3 meals, 2 portions of each, in 45 minutes.
We'll then have Ben, the chef, come in and show us what's possible with the same ingredients.
Right, boys, dig in and see what ingredients you've got in the mystery bag.
Okay, so we've got leeks, pine nuts, a white onion, garlic, miso paste, chicken thighs.
A load of red onions, carrot, parmesan, parsley, kale and milk.
So we'll give you some thinking time. As always, you can use the staples cupboard. So you've got things like pasta, rice, noodles, some grains, you've got flour, sugar, and obviously the basic equipment in the kitchen.
Why doesn't this get any easier?
We're putting 45 minutes on the clock, and it starts now.
You're just palming off the miso.
Yep.
I don't know how to use this. Oh look, there's a recipe on the side. How to make a hearty miso broth for 2. Yes, please.
Here's what I'm thinking.
I don't know what I'm thinking.
So I'm going to make leek, carrot, chicken thing, and then I'm going to serve it with some polenta, which is like mashed potato, but not quite as good.
I'm going to be honest with you, I don't know what I'm doing, but all I do know is there's a lot of onions to chop. So these are now called thinking onions. With some onion, I'm going to wedge it, oil, salt, pepper, into the oven and roast them so they go sweet and a little bit jammy. And then basically, I'm thinking I can then roast off half of the kale to go with those as well. Then I've got kind of a red onion kale warm salad.
Baz, have you figured out where the miso's going to go? Because I've just had a quick think. And I think my quick think says quick pickle.
A quick pickle?
A quick pickle
With
of
miso?
carrot. We've got like vinegar. Yeah, we've got vinegar.
What for? What dish?
For the miso dish.
Okay.
Yep, 2 thighs per portion. So I think this is 1 meal.
Okay, I'll give you that. What else can you put miso on? Can you do miso covered onions?
What about a miso glazed leek?
Not a thing.
I've added in some chopped up chicken thigh, some Dijon mustard, and I'm now going to go in with some milk and just let that like gently poach for a while.
I'm still making my way through the onion family. One dish I'm relatively confident on is a lovely pine nut and garlicky leek pasta dish. I'm excited by that one. I can see it. I think I can make a nice miso-based sauce as well, but I can't think what that sauce goes with. I genuinely want to cry. Honestly, I've never felt so...
Why?
I'm stuck.
Barry, I'm gonna
change...
I'm gonna alleviate you of 1 onion.
Thanks, mate. Brilliant.
Barry, it's going with pickled carrots. A quick pickled carrot.
Okay, I'm just gonna finish off one dish.
20 minutes in, 25 to go.
You alright? What's my...
It's not your day, is it?
I'm really missing your can-do attitude today.
Right, brilliant.
We have a whole bag of kale. I'm going to put half of it into... Whoa!
Oh, good save.
Good save.
Oh!
So much control in this kitchen.
I'm going to make a hearty miso broth for 2. I'm going to start my Japanese adventure now.
Milk now boiling over and burning.
Oh, no! No!
This is honestly hell.
Barry, I think this is done. I'm going to plate it up.
How do you cook with this stuff? I don't know. I don't know what this is, Jamie. Right.
Baz, 1 dish. Done.
Okay, I'm going to plate up a dish.
You're plating up a dish as well?
Yeah,
This is
yeah.
amazing. What's going on in here?
You've got leek and miso soup so far. Yeah, noodles, yeah.
It's ramen.
Yeah, great, noodles be
We're
amazing.
making ramen.
Oh no, the oven. They're done!
That's quick pickles. It's pickled onion and pickled carrot.
I'm making a warm salad to go with our noodle soup.
Last 10
I
seconds.
don't need a whole half onion on that.
Enough? Yeah?
What? Do it on the blender,
2,
I'm done.
1. Job done. Step away from the food.
I don't think we're getting a teamwork badge, Baz.
Boys, straight off, fair play, because that was not an easy task. Dish 1, it does what it says on the tin. It's fairly classic tomato, yes, lots of garlic. It's kind of rich and tomatoey. It's saved with the kale and roasted onion salad on the side. Dish number 3, you had a plan for, and also delivers on that. It's a little bit thin on the sauce, it's just kind of milk, flavoured milk, but the use of mustard and leek and the chicken thighs, really good, packed out with polenta. What you were then left with was dish number 2. The flavour is great. The miso, a little bit of chilli, a little bit of soy, the use of noodles, it's really cool. The pickle is a bit chunky, but it kind of works. And between the two of you, very little wastage, even things like Parmesan, you wouldn't throw that away. That has a long shelf life, you wrap it up and use it. The rest, not a huge amount wasted. I think it was a damn good effort.
I'm not proud of the performance. Personally, you did great. You did great. I think you saved us. I've just never been that close to a meltdown.
All right, well, with the same ingredients, let me show you what myself and the food team would have done. For my first dish, I'm also thinking a pasta dish. So we'll get a little bit of oil preheating, and then we're going to sweat off 1 diced onion. This is the quickest of the 3 recipes I'm going to do, and it's inspired by chicken Kiev. To that, I'm going to add a big part of chicken Kiev, which is garlic. Now, you can either finely slice it like that, or if you're less confident with a knife, we can just grate them all up. But the beauty of this dish is it builds as you go. So while the onion starts to soften, you do the garlic. Then you can add the garlic, and while the garlic's doing, then you can chop up the next bit. So you're kind of prepping and adding to a pan, prepping and adding to a pan. So you're always cooking and making best use of that time.
I'm intrigued now to see how much chicken he uses in this dish.
Were we right that is 2 portions of chicken?
I think if you are serving it as a roasted thigh on a plate, or you're skewering or something like that, you kind of do need that much chicken. But what I'm going to do is cut it up nice and small, and then a little bit goes a long way, especially when you bulk it out with all the other things we're putting into this dish. So the chicken thigh is going to go into our onion and garlic. So now what I'm going to do is weigh everything into this pot. So the pasta, I'm going to use orzo, and then I'm going to weigh in 500 ml of water, which is a bit boring, but we're going to add to it
Stock cube.
chicken stock cube.
Of course he is.
So store cupboard staple that just adds in the flavour and the seasoning for you.
It's a 1-pot pasta.
Yeah. I'm also adding in half of our kale, at which point it goes back on the stove, give it a good stir. That now needs to come up to a simmer and bubble away for 8 to 10 minutes, which would give me time to clear the board of raw chicken and show you the other element that's just delicious from a Kiev. Now for the crispy breadcrumbs. So another couple of tablespoons of oil, and we go in with breadcrumbs and pine nuts. That is going to give us a wonderful golden crunch on top of our pasta dish, just so it's not too one-dimensional. And the Parmesan, I'm going to use half of it now, half of it later.
Oh, this is annoyingly simple.
The beauty of orzo in a 1-pot cook is that you get a nice even absorption. And if you haven't got orzo, I think it's a really good pasta to have in your staples cupboard, or to build up over time, because it cooks quicker, and again, it's so versatile like all pastas are. The same with breadcrumbs. So a 20-minute midweek meal, absolutely delicious. And now you've got the wonderful texture of this crumb as well. Yes. 2 plates of food, 20 minutes, that's the first offering. Dish number 2 has to make onions the star of the show.
Oh yeah, please do.
So I'm going to do roasted miso onions with creamy polenta.
Polenta!
Roasted onions!
Yay!
Onions can be wonderful if you treat them well and bring out their natural deliciousness.
Whereas we just use them as a base.
So often.
Dishes, yeah.
Which I did in the first dish, and I will be in the second with a leek. Lots and lots of colour we want on this. And while we're also waiting for that, we can preheat an oven nice and hot, about 200 degrees.
So why are you colouring it in there first then?
What we want here is the sweetness of a roasted onion, but also that kind of char and burn of it being in a dry pan, notice, and around it we're going to make a really rich miso buttery sauce. 2 tablespoons of miso and some butter.
Jay, if I'd have turned around and seen you making that, I'd have thought you were having a full-blown meltdown.
Yeah, but because he's got a chef's jacket on, we have to trust him.
The combination of butter and miso is actually quite unusual, and not one necessarily that you would see in places like Japan. Dairy is not a big feature. However, we're seeing it popping up in all miso mashed potatoes or miso hot buttered new potatoes in the summer. Absolutely wonderful. This with the roasted onions, perfect. the whole pan goes into the oven for 20 to 25 minutes. So I'm a big fan of weighing ingredients into the container you're going to use it in. It just makes life easy, and then we'll just heat that up. Once that's hot, we add in polenta, cook it for 5 minutes or so until it's the consistency of mashed potato. If you need a bit more milk, you can always add it. And then we're going to finish it with the remaining parmesan. So the last way that's really simple to cook green vegetables is to microwave them. So the other half of the kale that we didn't put through our pasta, I'm just going to put a little splash of water in the bottom of a bowl, cover it with cling film, and that'll just need microwaving for a few minutes to steam and cook that. But there's no point in doing either until those onions are nearly done. So we've got 15 minutes to do nothing. I've got about 5 minutes left on those onions, so now's a good time to put the kale into the microwave.
Why did you have to stop drop to start?
No, I just wanted to see in there.
It was a... Here's the kale.
And my onions are done.
Lovely.
The milk is also at a nice simmer, so our polenta can kind of be added in. You're looking for something that's like loose mashed potato. There we go, it doesn't take long. Cheese goes in, and I think I'm ready to plate.
Relaxes onto the plate.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
These wonderful onions. Kale, the rich buttery miso sauce still to come, and the whole thing becomes almost brothy deliciousness. And we finish it with the last of the pine nuts we saved from before. Dish number 2.
I'm so excited to try that. So what's he got left? Milk, chicken thighs.
What I'm making is a chicken and leek cobbler. So it begins with oil and butter in a pan whilst we prep the leek.
I think I know what a cobbler is, but...
He's a guy that fixes shoes, isn't he?
Yeah.
It's a bit like a savoury scone, or a scone. We're just not putting the sugar in it, so we're keeping it savoury. But it's flour, butter, and milk combined.
And then you put those dollops on top of a stew.
And bake them off. So exactly the same as before. Start something off while you prep on the board. Then add it in. Then you've got a board clean to do the next thing and add it in. So the whole thing is one pan. I'm gonna add now the chicken thigh and the garlic. Same thing as before, we cut it up, a little goes a long way.
In terms of reducing the amount of meat that I eat or think is appropriate to put in a meal.
Okay, yeah.
This is a really good way of doing it. I just don't, it's not top of my mind yet.
Which is exactly what we've been conditioned to think is a portion. So you did a pretty similar thing. What we're gonna do, because there's already butter in there with the oil, is scatter over some flour, cook that out so it gets a bit sticky, and then add in the milk a bit at a time to form a bechamel using that roux. Gonna leave that to bubble away while we make our cobbler. Self-raising flour, so it should be light and fluffy. 70 grams of cold butter, and I've diced it because now you're going to rub it together until you get like breadcrumb consistency. And if it is room temperature butter, you end up making like cookie dough, and you don't really want that. And then season it generously, salt and pepper, and bring it together with just enough milk to form a dough. Ooh, it's a bit sticky.
You eyeballed it.
He eyeballed it,
Yeah,
and
balls
now
it
look
up.
what happened.
2 things have happened here. 1, it's very hot in the studio, and my butter's a bit sticky. 2,
He's in a rush.
I eyeballed the milk, and I went a bit heavy-handed, but you can just save it by bringing it back with a bit more flour. But you should end up with something that on a lightly floured surface, you can just sort of press out to a scone. Last thing to do, the herbs are going in, but really rustic. And you can see what consistency that is now. It just about pulls through. So you can pull it and it just about leaves a line. And our scone can go on top. Leave space between them because they'll puff up. That goes into the oven, 200 degrees Celsius for 15 minutes, maybe just under, 12 to 15 minutes. It should puff up and go golden on top. So chicken Kiev inspired 1 pot orzo pasta.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Oh, it's garlicky from smelling it.
That is a chicken Kiev in a pasta dish.
Wow. The word I always use with orzo is silky.
Because you basically serve the pasta water you just cooked it in. It's all combined, it's all absorbed.
And also, the kale still has a slight crunch to it, which is really nice.
And the chicken goes a long way.
And for me, even if you haven't got dried breadcrumbs in your staples cupboard, you absolutely are likely to have a crust left over from a loaf you've been eating throughout the week. Like blitz it up, chop it up, and use that instead. It's a great way of using up stale bread to give you an extra dimension you actually want on your dish, rather than, oh, I better use this up. It's actually a positive.
Right. Move on, dish 2.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Oh, I love it.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, I didn't want to like it. Miso and butter.
You know what my favourite bit is? The polenta. Because it absorbs all the flavour from that miso and that sweetness from the onion as well. It looks like it could be served next to the meat dish. But you don't miss the meat at all. That onion is exceptional.
Now this one is going to be super hot.
Again, like for me, the idea of making a scone or a piece of bread midweek seems a bit over the top, but in this, it's the simplest thing ever.
And you're just doing it while the mixture's bubbling away. You'd have to wait anyway.
Oh, wow. That is an incredibly comforting, beautiful chicken pie.
That is fantastic.
Best thing about those dumplings, they go brown on top, but they also suck up all the juices from the bottom.
It is rich with the butter and all of that milk to make the sauce, but it's also got loads of veg.
That is superb.
The biggest thing for me today is I need to look at meat differently. Stretching your meat.
Yeah.
Stretch your meat and celebrate the onion.
And I would say, I've learned how to turn stew into a pie, and my world will never be the same again.
All of those fresh ingredients, we reckon you can pick up for about 20 quid. And that includes miso and parmesan. You're not going to use all of it, but it will keep in your store cupboard for weeks to come. So if you keep cooking the same dishes you love, they get cheaper and cheaper in time.
Spectacular.
It's all of that cheffy kind of thinking that goes into our meal packs app, where you get loads of recipes, one bag of shopping, and you don't have to do the thinking because he's already done it for you.
Myself and the food team, and between the time we film this and it being edited, we'll make sure that these recipes are also live on the app, so you can literally check it out down below.
Yeah, we did that last time and you guys seem to absolutely love it. So let's do it again.
Links downstairs.
Give that miso onion weird thing a go.
Give the weird thing a go. It's always the weird one that gets you.
Make everything a pie. He's like an old man riddler, isn't he?
I know.
He's like, what are these pennies?